Welcome back to the Puddin' Creek Rod Shop. I mean, we are wound up this morning. Mr. Banjo Man, crank that banjo up another notch. Bring all my mules out here and kick them one time. Now, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, you're probably saying to yourself, why in the world is there banjo music on a hot rod video? Well, we do things a little different around here. We like to listen to bluegrass music and build hot rods. And if we get out in a hot rod and run out of gas somewhere, we're liable to break open a mason jar of some blinker fluid and pour it in the tank just to get us back home. Now be careful. It's easy to get addicted to bluegrass music. The first time you watch one of our videos, you think, what's this funny mountain music they got playing? And the next Monday, you watch another video, and you look down, and your left foot is involuntarily tapping along with the music. And the third week you watch one of our videos, you're Googling in the background, who are some good bluegrass pickers? I mean, it'll suck you right in. Watch out. One of our viewers sent me an email, and she said her whole family watches our show, and every time the intro music kicks in, her daughter starts playing an imaginary fiddle, and her son starts picking an imaginary banjo, and she herself, she starts playing an imaginary upright doghouse bass, air bass if you will, and she said her husband just does the Jed Clampett dance with his feet and throws his hands around in the air like a crazy person. I mean, they enjoy the intro music. Now, if you're saying to your TV right now, hey, Puddin' Creek, I'm all in, but I don't know how to get started on this bluegrass journey. Well, let me push you off the edge. Bluegrass music, in my opinion, didn't get at any higher level than listening to Tony Rice sing a Jimmy Martin song with J.D. Crowe playing the banjo in the background. Now, if you're not familiar with any of those names, you got some homework to do. But let me warn you, be careful. This bluegrass music will set your wig on fire. If it is your first time watching one of our videos, you're probably asking, what's this crazy blue car with the purple engine? Well, this car's name is the Bad Coupe. All right, that was just a little recap to get everybody up to speed and everybody on the same page as to how far along we are on the Bad Coupe build. On today's episode, we're back to work in the shop. And just like my old machine shop teacher used to say back in 1985, break's over, let's get it. Now, I wanted to go ahead and get the door panels off for a couple of reasons. One is I need to cut that crazy crossmember out from under the car, out from under the frame, and that's going to make a huge cloud of grinding dust from the cutoff wheels and the grinders. That's going to be a big deal. It's really going to make a mess. Also, the trunk floor pan has got some rust that needs to be cleaned up and primed, so I'm going to do some real serious wire brushing with a grinder back there, and that's going to make a big cloud of dust. So I just thought it'd be better to get these door panels out of the way. And also, we're going to get the crushed velvet replaced on these door panels. That's our plan, to try to preserve the old stained vinyl, but replace the crushed velvet because it's so faded out and lost its shape. So we're going to be taking these to the trim shop on a future episode, so I needed to go ahead and get these off anyway. Now, how do you like these old Cal Custom window cranks and door handles? Leave a comment below if you had these in your car back in the 1970s. Oof, it looks like they had some aluminum adapters to adapt these over to the 32 Ford window cranks, but it looks like they got really chewed up over the years with different kinds of bolts being stuck in there for set screws. I know what you guys are thinking about right now. Hey, Puddin' Creek, I remember my first time taking a door panel off. You guys are real funny. Maybe you should try stand-up. Well, if you've watched the videos, you've seen that we've been out at a few car shows lately. And the most common question I get when I run into you guys out at a car show is, how's my old hot rod buddy doing? Well, he's been doing pretty good. He's got that job down there at the chicken processing plant, and he's finally worked his way up into a good job down there. He's working in the gizzard department now. I mean, that's a good job at the chicken processing plant. But he was watching the news the other night, and on the news, a guy there on the news, he said that AI was going to take over everybody's job. Well, that got him all worried. He didn't want to lose his job at the chicken plant to AI. So he decided he better sign up for some higher education, try to do a little better for himself. So he went down here to the local community college, and he signed up, but he signed up late, and all the classes were already taken except this biology class, specifically bird biology. So he signed up for it just to get his foot in the door and get started in the college life. Well, the first day of class, the professor come in and welcomed everybody to the class, and then he proceeded to tell the students that they were going to be studying bird biology and bird anatomy, and that he kind of needed to know where everybody's knowledge level was on bird anatomy before he could get started with the class, so he kind of knows what to teach. So he said there's going to be a test right here on the first day. He had this whole stack of pictures, 8 by 10s, and he said, I'm going to hold up each one of these pictures, and you guys are going to tell me what kind of bird this is. Now, the pictures were nothing but bird legs, just the legs of a bird. He said, you'll look at these bird legs and tell me if you can identify what kind of bird it is. Well, my old hot rod buddy, he stood up and he said, that's the silliest test I ever heard of. That's just plumb stupid. I refuse to take that test. And the professor said, well, that's all right, young man. We'll just give you an F. And he got his grade book out and he said, what's your name? And my old hot rod buddy, he rolled his britches legs up above his knees and he said, you tell me. Well, needless to say, my old hot rod buddy's back to work at the chicken processing plant. I guess higher education wasn't for him after all. I used to spend my nights out at a barroom. Liquor was the only friend I'd known. Well, if you're a young hot rodder, you probably think that's a Chris Stapleton song. But if you're a little bit older, you might remember it as a George Jones song. Now me, I remember it as a big song for David Allan Coe. Now what we've got going on here in the trunk is, I guess while this car was in storage for decades, the battery must have leaked most of its acid out, and it leaked down here in the bottom recesses of the trunk pan, and it didn't really eat through the metal, but it's just got this white oxidation all over everything, and I'm going to have to pull these panels apart, and I'll sandblast the small panels and prime them, and the bigger panel here I'll clean up with a wire brush on a grinder and get it down to bare metal and prime that. We've got some work to do here in the trunk area. John Lackner, the original builder and designer and owner of this car back in the 1970s, he sent me an email the other night, and he said that him and his buddies were sitting around a big widescreen TV watching last week's episode, the one where we fired up the new engine for the Bad Coupe, and he said they had the volume up pretty loud, and he said when Doug fired up that new engine, he got cold chills. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's pretty doggone cool that the guy who originally built this car in the 1970s is out in California watching us restore it here in East Tennessee, and that he got the cold chills when the new engine fired up. And I want to be honest with you guys, I got cold chills when Doug fired that engine up too, and I'm guessing a few of you guys out there in YouTube land, I'm guessing you guys got cold chills too. Now, John also told me he thought it was super important for the restoration of this car that we get tires that look like the Goodyear 1970s Goodyears he had on it back in the day, even if we have to custom order the white letter logo, the Goodyear logo, and glue it on a set of tires to make these tires. He thinks that's super important to the look of the car. John told me that the local Goodyear dealer's son was a good friend of his, and that they installed those Goodyear tires right before he took the car to its first big NSRA show. He said the new style Goodyear tires were one of the things that attracted the Street Rodder magazine photographer to the car at that event. He said the photographer was super excited to see the car, and he told John this car is a centerfold right here. He said, let me go borrow 2 models, one to sit on the front tire and one to sit on the back tire, and I'll be right back. Well, I guess they took a lot of different shots for the magazine, and the picture that ended up in a centerfold only had 1 model in it instead of 2, but it's a super cool picture anyway. But John said he did remember lots and lots of people taking pictures, he guessed, with instant cameras while those 2 models were sitting on the tires. He said there's a lot more people taking pictures than just a Street Rodder photographer, and I bet there was. Well, I turned the camera off for a minute. I needed to raise the car up on the lift to get it to a nut on the bottom side of this trunk pan. And when I let it back down, I didn't notice that those 2 panels had fell down where I had them propped up. And one of them had slid right underneath where my ramp folds up when it hits the concrete. And long story short, it kind of got crushed. The panel that I just took out of the Bad Coupe. Now, can you believe that? I was just going to sandblast these and prime them and put them right back in, but it looks like your old buddy Puddin' Creek's got a little extra work to do on this one. Well, the next thing we got to address is this crossmember that don't fully cross from one side of the frame to the other. It's got a little gap in the middle. Now, I'd already thought we were going to have to take this out and do better than this, but then I saw the engine that Doug built for the car, and it was a no-brainer after that. It's definitely got to come out. Now, I could take some square tubing and my MIG welder and come up with a nice cross member right out of my head, a nice, strong, functional cross member. I don't even need a drawing for that. Any moron can do that. But I thought we're trying to keep this car period correct for the 1970s, and wouldn't it be cool if we could find a how-to article in a 1970s hot rod magazine or street rodder magazine that showed how to build a crossmember for a 1932 Ford when you're adding a 4-speed transmission. And then we build the crossmember straight out of that how-to article. Wouldn't that be a cool idea? Now, my recollection of reading those how-to articles in those 1970s magazines, when I was a little kid, a little munchkin, Puddin' Creek, I read every article and sometimes 2 or 3 times because we only had 3 channels on TV to watch, so there wasn't much else to do. Anyway, my recollection is that most of those how-to articles didn't involve ordering anything. Most of them involved going to the junkyard and pulling this piece off a 76 Vega, or this piece off of a Monza, or this piece off of a Pinto or Camaro, and then adapting it into your hot rod. But I was flipping through this 1973 issue of Street Rodder magazine, and I came upon this chassis in a box. It looks like as far back as 1973, you could actually order an aftermarket crossmember or X-member to go in your car. Now, I didn't remember it that way. That's pretty cool. Then I looked in another 1970 Street Rodder issue right on the inside cover, and there was an advertisement from the Beverly Hills Street Rod Shop. I don't even remember them, do you guys? But anyway, they had this X-member there for a 32 Ford that had these oblong holes in it, and I happened to think, wait a minute, I think I vaguely remember seeing something like that out in my container. I think I've got something like that right on hand. So I head out into the container to see if I can find what I'm thinking of. The first thing I got to do is shimmy past my uncle's gasser. Now, either this gasser is getting bigger over the years, or the peanut butter milkshakes are affecting my belly because it's a little tighter squeeze than it used to be to get past this thing. Anyway, inside my container, as you can see, I've got a nice collection of junk, a junk emporium, you might say. But somewhere in this pile of junk, I feel like there's a crossmember or a crossmember component that looks kind of like the one that Beverly Hills Street Rods was selling in that 1970s advertisement. Now, I know back in the back of the container, there's an original Henry Ford 1934 Ford X-member, and I could sure use that and modify it. But I hate to mess that up since it's an original one. I might need it for a 34 Ford frame. And also, that wasn't really as much of a thing in the 70s. They were usually using newer cars to make their parts out of. They weren't really looking back to modify a 32 Ford frame with a 34 Ford crossmember. That's a more modern thing, guys trying to be traditional and do the traditional vibe. But right here is the part I was thinking of. You see those oblong holes? That's almost exactly the design that was in that 1970s magazine. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Hey, Puddin' Creek, you might be a hoarder. And I say, I resemble that remark. So I grab those crossmember parts and start toting them back toward the shop. Now, these parts are old, but I'm under no illusion that these are from the 1970s, nor am I trying to portray that to you guys. I know these are not 1970s parts, but they look almost identical to those that are in that magazine ad from the 1970s. And the part I forgot to mention is I looked through that whole stack of 1970s magazines, and I did not find one single how-to article on building a crossmember for a 1932 Ford when you add a 4-speed. You'd think that would have been a common how-to article, but I did not find one at all. So then we're left with plan B. Maybe we can build a crossmember that looks like one you could have ordered in the 1970s. That's kind of what I'm thinking now. Now, you guys know I want to restore this car period correct, and I want to use only period correct parts where I can, but also we have to use some common sense. I mean, we have to use what's available if there's no period correct parts available. In other words, we can't use period correct 1970s tires. They're all dry rotted, and we can't use 1970s fan belts and radiator hoses. We got to apply a little bit of common sense. You guys know what I mean. Now, on another topic, you can see remnants of gold paint in the recesses down in the Krager wheels, right around where the lug nuts are. So I asked John Lackner the other night, did he paint that gold in the recess on those wheels? And he said, nope, wasn't him. Must have been somebody after him. So that got me thinking, well, he probably didn't paint the gold in the dropped axle either. So I went and dug out one of the old pictures from the 1970s, and sure enough, looky there, that recess in the dropped axle was purple, not gold. So looks like we're going to be slinging some more purple. Now, most of this Crossmember looks like it was welded with a stick welder, and I know a lot of you really young hot rod builders think there's no way to build any kind of hot rods without a TIG welder. Everything has to be TIG welded, and anybody that would use a stick welder on a hot rod probably is just not too smart. But I'm here to tell you, a stick welder makes a nice strong weld. There ain't nothing wrong with a stick welder weld. It might not be beautiful, although I've worked with some old welders before in my life that could take a stick welder and make a beautiful weld with a stick welder. But anyway, a stick welder is stuck. There's nothing wrong with a stick weld. Now, I own a MIG welder and a TIG welder, and I use both of them. But I learned to weld on a stick welder when I was a little kid here on the farm. And I can remember the first time I tried to weld with a stick welder, and I got done with my bead, and I flipped the helmet up to see what my dad thought. And my dad said, son, that looks awful. That looks like something a mud dauber would have done. If you can't weld no better than that, you ought to just quit. And I said, but Dad, I'm only 7. Now, I'm not going to make you guys watch me grind for the hours that it actually took to grind all those stick welds out. I mean, those were big, heavy, thick stick welds, and it took many hours to grind them all out. But just so you know, your old buddy Puddin' Creek wouldn't torture you like that with a whole video of grinding. Through my scratched up grinding shield and through the cloud of grinding dust in front of my face, I thought I saw an apparition, an angelic figure. Oh, wait a minute, it's a little woman. She's bringing me food. So I'm about to tear up this Chinese food, and all of a sudden I get a text message. It's our buddy Jimmy. He's got the transmission, the T10 for the Bad Coupe, all torn apart, and he started cleaning up all the parts, and he's actually started going back together with new parts. He thinks it'll be ready for us to pick up by the weekend. Out on this old rock pile with a ball and chain, they call me by number, not a name. Lord, Lord, I gotta do my time. I gotta do my time with a worried heart and a broken mind. We're headed to Jimmy's place to pick up the 4-speed, and then we're headed to find the world's best peanut butter milkshake. Now, the first question I'm going to ask Jimmy is how it's been dealing with all of his new YouTube fans.
There was a handful of the knuckleheads I know called me and said, we want a selfie and we want your autograph. And I was like, I'm surprised that y'all knew how to spell pudding. Where you said you were going to paint yours, I didn't put anything on it. And typically everything comes out of here. The aluminum looks like new, the cast iron looks like new.
Right.
I cleaned it as clean as I could get it. And
oh, that sounds good. Oh, yeah. So did you find anything wrong in it other than that second gear detent?
Not really. It had a little bit of wire in it. Nothing that's not normal.
Yeah.
And I put all the pieces in it anyway.
Right.
Actually, it was a pretty good gearbox.
Good.
It was pretty good. It was pretty nice. In that little light car, I imagine it probably hadn't been banged around on much.
Yeah, probably not. He said he did do a little street racing with it. But I think a lot of what he was doing was just going to rod runs and car shows and taking these two little boys with him, so he probably wasn't getting too crazy with it. But.
Well, the thing about it is, the heavier it is, and the higher it's geared, the more pressure it puts right there.
Right.
And that thing there didn't have any signs. The gears cleaned up to where you could see the paint marks on them good. I sent you some pictures of it.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like it had seen a lot of abuse.
Good.
But,
now, who did you get the parts from, in case people on the video want to know? Remember, you know his name?
I do. I got his card in my pocket.
All right.
I don't leave home without it.
Let's put it in the video. Maybe it'll help somebody that's needing parts.
DME.
DME.
The guy's name's Dennis Marudis.
So that's where you get your T10 parts.
Yeah.
And I guess he probably got Muncie stuff too?
Yeah.
All right.
Muncie, early, even that stuff like you work on.
Yeah.
A lot of that early stuff, he's got a bunch of it.
I've never heard of it.
Dennis has been in this game long enough to where a lot of times, instead of trying to figure out what shifter I need, what installation kit I need, I just call him and say, hey man, we're working on a 67 GTO and it's got a 75 model Super T10 in it, and it's got a console in it. Just send me the stuff.
Yeah.
And he'll send you a shifter, the plate and the rods, and you get it and the stuff fits.
Cool.
And a lot of the stuff he's got is refurbished original stuff.
Yeah.
Because the junk you're buying now ain't worth buying.
Yeah.
4 or 5, just like everything, 4 or 5 years ago when Hearst lost a patent or it was up or whatever, and they quit putting patent pending on the side of the shifters where it says made in USA and all that.
Right.
Then they started getting made in wherever, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
The installation kits don't fit right, which everything's that way.
Everything.
Yeah. I don't know how much of that you see, but
everything. I try not to use any reproduction parts on these 30s cars if you can help it, because they're all junk.
Yeah.
So it's much better to go out in the junkyard and dig a rusty one off that's half rusted the frame and clean it up and use it if you can.
Here, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I had a 69 Nova sitting in the shop. It had a set of big tube hooker headers on it, and you could clearly read the part number.
Yeah.
67 Camaro, which shares the same subframe, same subframe, same headers, same engine mounts, everything. I took the part number off the headers from the Nova that fit perfect. Called the part number in to Nichols, bought a brand new set of headers, about $900 worth. Brought them home, and they wasn't even close. They was not even close to fitting near as good as the old ones.
Yeah.
And that's the difference when they were made in USA and when they're made wherever they're made at.
It's everything. Patch panels. You order a patch panel, and it ain't even really worth starting on. You're better off just to make your own patch panel if you can.
My '69 Chevelle is mostly all GM metal, all GM quarters, GM fenders. And somebody was telling us the AMD doors fit them cars good because it's hard to find a good door that's not rusty at the weather strip.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we buy $900 worth of AMD doors and fight them for 2 weeks trying to get them to fit. You get a good crack here and it's terrible here.
Yep.
You know, you slide it down to get a good crack here and it's terrible up here. We wound up cutting them up for patch panels.
Yeah.
Cut them up to make patch panels to fix the GM doors.
Well, yeah, on a door, just like you're saying, if the shape of the door ain't formed right in the die, well, nothing's going to fit because, like I say, you can't tweak it here and gain it here because it's got to be formed right in the die.
Well, that's the way it was when you got it lined at the top, with the top of the fender and the quarter, and the body seam line was lined up.
Right.
You had a gap at the bottom you could stick your fingers in.
Yeah.
It's one thing to weld a small piece of rod to the end of the door or something like that.
Right.
But when you're going to start adding that much to the bottom, where it may likely get chipped, and a piece that big comes off. And so we cut them up, made patch panels out of them.
That's crazy.
And what we had fought for over 2 weeks, well, I say we, my body guy, my painter.
Yeah.
In one Saturday, in a couple of hours, we had it solved by hanging the 2 factory doors on it and instantly had a good crack, a good fit, and then it's like, okay, now let's make enough good metal to make these work.
Man, that's a hoss, ain't it? What's that?
That's a 1050 Dominator.
1050.
Yeah.
What's that going on?
It goes on that 509.
Oh, okay. That's a carburetor.
Yeah, that's while I've got something on the run stand running, I thought I would put the Dominator on there and start it up just to make sure that it don't shoot fuel out the top, or you know, to see what we've got to work with before I go and start his brand new engine with it on there.
Right.
So
that's a hoss.
I dug it out to. Yeah, there's been a little bit of stuff get done since y'all were here.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, when you were here last, the 396 that's going to Seattle, Washington was sitting here with no heads on it.
Right.
That's what's in the run stand now.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's the engine that's running. That's the engine that's in the run stand running now because it goes to Seattle Wednesday.
Oh, okay. You got more on stands. You're getting it here. I mean, looks like you got a 4-man crew working in here.
No, I work a day job in the day, and then I fool around here.
Done.
Yeah, I fool around here at night and piddle around and do a little bit of stuff here and there.
I looked that line lock up, and those pictures I've got, I can't really tell enough about him. It looks like he had a chrome sleeve over it, but as near as I can tell, and it's fuzzy, I think the one you got's the one I need. And I seen a guy on that Moroso page posted one of the old ones like you was telling me about, like the 64, 65s. It looks like a starter solenoid kind of. So I know exactly what you're talking about now. And I don't think that's the one that's on it. I think the one you got is the one I need if you still want to sell it.
Yeah, I will if you need it. Because, like I said, on that car of mine, once you go, and that's what I'm getting ready to do right now. That's why there's a brake booster clamped up in the vise. Is because I'm going to build a bracket. I originally was going to put it down low, kind of out of sight.
Right.
But now we're going to build a bracket. And I'm going to put it up here somewhere you can get to it. So I figured that I would just take a booster and mount it up in the vise, you know, to where you can stand back and go.
Right.
Yeah, and I can live with that, or I don't like that, or, you know, because it's a little late once it's done and on the car.
Bend your line there to hook to it and everything.
Well, and not only that, this is the hold-off valve for the front brakes.
Okay.
So it'd be easy to just have to modify 2 lines right here instead of all of that. And then the boosters go off to get redone to the booster guy.
Yeah, who does that?
There's a guy in California named Mike Gibbons that replates them and rebuilds them.
Right.
And you can send the assembly line master cylinder to him and have it done, and all of the proportioning valves and all that stuff, and it comes back rebuilt with made in USA parts, and the stuff will work.
Can you beat that? Mike Gibbons.
Yeah.
All right, that's good information too. You're full of information today.
Well, my car is a weirdo. For some reason in '69, there was a handful of these boosters got out the door that are stamped upside down. Instead of being stamped right here where they say Delco Marine,
Right.
there's a handful of them that's stamped upside down and it's over here.
Huh.
And they do not reproduce that booster. So by having my original one restored that I got from Doug,
Oh, yeah?
when I get my car done, you know, the people in the know will be like, that's an original booster because they don't repop it. And I'm going to send it all the way to California and have it done. That one goes, this one goes, that goes. They're talking to somebody about reproducing an exact set of assembly line brake lines because the junk you buy is, you know, it's got, as long as it's that close, you know, they send it. You take it out of the box and it fits terrible. But, yeah, that's where we're at. I'm starting to fix the little pieces for my car because we're going to see paint pretty soon.
Great.
And the painter made me buy paint 3 weeks ago, so I quit changing my mind. Because I was going to paint it green, then I was going to paint it gold, then I was going to paint it blue, and then I kept coming back to just not being able to not put the original color on it. It came factory green, put the green back on.
I like green. I was going to tell you, you told me about your car that was in that article, so I looked it up. As soon as I looked it up, I thought, I've seen that car. Would I have seen that car at a show in Newport?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw that car. I think we saw it over at Cherokee too. But both times we saw it, before I knew it had anything to do with it, I pointed out to her and I said, that car's completely different. I said, that's done way to a higher level than anything here because it had the bi-supply tires and just everything on it. But I didn't know, I didn't know you and didn't know you built that. But I've seen that car.
Yeah, when that car was built, right down to the sun gauges, if you popped them out of the cup and look at them, they were dated anywhere from 69 to 71.
Oh, okay.
All of the little goofy wing nuts and stuff on it was not something that you can get reproduction today. It was original old blister pack junk that I had gathered up.
Right.
The only modern pieces of that car was it had a steel billet flywheel, just to be safe. And it had a modern clutch in it because I wanted something easy to push in so my wife could drive it.
Oh, right.
And the valve train in it was modern because it had a big solid roller in it that was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was all period correct of what you would have had at the time, even right down to the points. It had dual points.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody said, there's no way that the dual points will last. But I drove that car in 5 years. I drove it 6,800 miles. Never ever had to touch the points. And we had the distributor out of it 3 different times working on it to get the timing curve right in it. But that thing still had dual points in it and the works. You know?
Well, I told her, I think we saw it at 2 different shows, and both times we saw it, I said, that car stands out. Like I say, just the number one thing, just as you walk by it, the bi-supply tires. Because there ain't really nobody running bi-supply tires for Kragers. They're running Kragers, but they're not running bi-supply tires, and that's a whole different look. I mean,
yeah. And then
it's a big difference in looking at a bi-supply tire and a radial.
Yeah, and that's like we talked last time. You know, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, don't count for nothing, but if you're going to build a themed car, you need to do it all.
Yeah.
You know, we went to Chicago and we took that car to Chicago up there to unveil it at the Muscle Car Corvette National Show. And, you know, that's the big fish there,
Right,
you know.
right.
And we get unloaded and we get placed beside of a 71 or 2 Baldwin Motion Camaro, real deal car supposedly, and a 69 Yanko 427 Camaro on the other side of me. And I told my wife, I said, holy cow, what do you do? You know, there's 2 supercars. We're right in the middle of all this. Yeah. And the 69 Camaro was restored really nice, but it had the wrong engine in it.
Oh, yeah.
And the 73 Camaro, where the 71 or 2 round tail light Camaro, whichever year it was, I don't remember now. From across the room, as soon as they picked the hood up off of it, I asked my wife, I said, what do you see from here? And she said, oh, Lord, you know, you could see the MSD plug wires and the chrome throttle return spring and stuff. You could just see that they went shopping at Advance Auto or somewhere, you know. And when they went around and done the judging, It takes 960 points to score gold, if I remember correct. And then they go on down through there, but you're judged on 1,000 points. My car scored 989 points.
Wow.
And the little things that they picked us on was dumb little things
Yeah.
But it was hard to watch because when they came down there to judge it, both doors was open. There was two guys crawled inside it. There was two guys under the hood of it crawling over it right to their engine numbers. And it was hard to watch them have their way with my car like that, you know. I mean, we drove the 67 a lot, but it was not something that was, it was enjoyable to drive to me, but it was not that enjoyable to drive to her. It was 410 geared and great big solid roller cam, lots of compression, carry race gas to it. Turned at 7,500 RPMs. It was hateful, you know. I loved it.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah. When you start looking at the innovators of hot rodding, you know, your Ford guys has got their heroes, and the Chrysler guys has got their heroes, and then they all hate Bill Jenkins because he took a 300, well, however many inches that engine was, 331, and outrun the Hemis.
Yeah.
You know, when they done that weight. So that's what it is about Bill Jenkins.
Well, he was before he got into racing, wasn't he some kind of an engineer, a mechanical engineer or something?
He went to college and had a degree in mechanical engineering, and there's a video on there where they're talking to him about it, and he said he realized that he could make a better living working on race cars and working on race engines and stuff like that. And then the next thing you know, he invented Pro Stock pretty much. He's the father of Pro Stock, and the peanut gallery can say what they want to say, but he's the reason.
Well, he's entertaining too. On top of that, or he was.
You know, when you watch that video you was talking about of him smoking that cigar.
Yeah.
What is entertaining to me is when he rolls in there and gets ready to leave, he never looks at the tach to see what the starting RPM is.
Yeah.
And whenever he leaves and makes that shift to second, he's evidently timing the shift to third.
I've seen that. That's the funniest part to me. Those cigars, when we watch it the first time, him smoking that cigar is what gets you. But then when you watch it a couple of times, him working that arm up to,
and that's got to be what it is, because
that's what it is.
I've seen that video a bunch of times, and one time he'll glance over to see where that other guy is.
Yeah.
He don't really ever look at the RPMs on the tach to see where he's leaving at or where he's shifting at. Right. And then when between the second and third shift, when he does, that's got to be some kind of timing. You know, he's counting. He's doing something other.
Yeah.
I know when I was a kid, we was at Bristol one year, and that's when you could walk by and look in the pits.
Right.
And they were changing motors in the Vega, getting ready to change a motor in the Vega as we started to the bathroom. We were gone 13 minutes. And when we walked back by, they were setting the carburetors on it, getting ready to start it. And they were already preparing to push it to the staging lanes. 13 minutes they had to.
That's crazy. Wasn't he the first one to run a Vega and as a drag car?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of debate about it. And depending on where you research it, the information kind of changes. But the 426 Hemis were kind of dominating because of the weight, pounds per cubic inch or what have you. And then the small block car's got a weight brake.
Right.
And then he turned around and built that Vega with the small block in it for the weight advantage. And then when he outrun the Hemis, when he won that year and outrun the Hemis, it didn't make him a popular guy.
Sure. Especially in a Vega.
Yeah. When we were at Chicago, they had that Vega up there, one of the race cars.
Yeah.
And a little small block, and they had Don Carlton's Motown Missile and Sox and Martin, and there was a bunch of the Pro Stock cars there. And they were starting that stuff up and pulling it out of there on Saturday evening after the show and Sunday, and they'd start something up and people'd stop and look around. When they got in that Vega and brought that little small block alive, and that thing sounded like a two-stroke motorcycle when you revved it up, the whole place just about stopped and watched them pull it out of there and load it in the.
So did he do the Vega before Chevy come out with a performance Vega, didn't they? Which one come first? Didn't they have what they call a Super Vega or something like that was a...
The Super Vega came through Motion Performance.
Oh, okay.
They took them and put V8s in them.
Okay.
But I think Bill Jenkins made a race car out of the Vega. I think that was first.
That was first.
I think that was first.
But then didn't Chevrolet make just on their own, didn't they make a high performance Vega? They had like a white stripe that went up around it and had high performance stuff in it.
Well, they did. They made a twin cam 4-cylinder Cosworth Vega.
Cosworth Vega.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
But they never did put a V8 in one that I know of.
Oh,
they
okay.
never did factory put a V8 in one.
Okay.
396, 360 horse for a 66 Chevelle.
Yeah.
And this has kind of been a long project waiting on them to get the numbers distributor, which they never did get.
Oh, they didn't get it.
And so that's going to be left up. I just makeshifted this kind of stuff to be able to get it running.
Right.
And
Baby doll.
it's about out of fuel.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it'll make probably 425 horsepower. It's had a handful of stuff done. It's hydraulic roller cam, 10 1/4 1 compression, cylinder heads. It's had a ton of work done on them. Some Portland polish and stainless valves. And, that would be the intake of choice in the day.
Yeah.
That would have been what you would have been able to get in the 60 or late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
That's what you would have been able to get.
Yeah. That's cool. Sounds great.
So
They're gonna be happy with that.
compared to what it ran like when they bought it new,
Yeah.
that'll be much better. Okay. I'm gonna give you something to make a lineup tool out
Okay.
of.
All right.
I save these when they come in broke,
Oh, all right.
and I usually just take a chop saw or something and cut it off.
Yeah.
That gives you a real good lineup tool.
Shoot, yeah.
And not only that, but if you got to put the pilot bushing in it, it saves you from driving it in too deep.
Yeah.
Saves you from beating it up when you drive it in there. You just have to polish that thing up and cut it off.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Shoot, yeah.
I've got
handy as bucket on shirt.
Yeah, I've got them in my toolbox at work.
Yeah.
And I save them when they come in here broke for that reason. And
that.
speaking of the pilot bushing, have you got?
I ain't got that far yet. I haven't done anything.
I haven't got that far yet. Let's see here.
I've been working on that frame. I brought the engine home and Doug built it and just covered it up to keep it clean. That's all I've done. I'm gonna take that transmission before I paint it and I'm gonna mock it up in the frame so I can build my Crossmember around it. I got the old one all cut out.
I'm gonna give you a good bushing for that.
All right. All right.
Because the ones that you buy now,
There.
if you can stick a magnet to it like that,
All right.
in a couple 100 miles, it'll gall up and it'll cause it to scrape and it's hard to get it in gear. If you can stick a magnet to the pilot bushing.
So what are they putting in there? This shouldn't be magnetic at all.
No, it's got some kind of, these things are supposed to be impregnated, lubricated
Right,
somehow,
right,
and don't
yeah.
they say not to put grease or oil or nothing on that, just put it together. But we've been seeing these things fail and spin it out of the crank, and I put one of these in my Chevelle before I knew better, and in about 500 miles you could start it up in neutral, and if you put it in reverse it ground, and you'd about have to force it to get it to go in low gear. And what happens is when it galls this thing up, it tries to turn the input shaft, and when that input shaft is turning, it won't go in gear.
Right.
So
All right.
There again, I buy them things when I see them.
Yep.
So,
Get Jimmy Arnold to rebuild your transmission. You get the right pilot bushing, the tool to put it in. I mean, can't beat that. I'm gonna put that in the trunk in the car. Man, oh man, I can't tell you how appreciative we are that Jimmy rebuilt this 4-speed for us. It's going back in the Bad Coupe. I'm so excited to shift it, I may go home and put the Hurst shifter on it and just sit around in the middle of the shop floor and run it through the gears and make engine noises. Now, one of our viewers had been watching us run all over East Tennessee, trying out different places on their peanut butter milkshakes, and he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, Puddin' Creek, if you want the world's best peanut butter milkshake, you got to cross the state line over into Virginia." Now, he told us if you want the world's best peanut butter milkshake, that can only be found at the Hobnob Drive-In in Gate City, Virginia. Now, Gate City, Virginia is a pretty good drive from our shop, but Jimmy's place is an hour from our shop, and Gate City, Virginia is only another 20 minutes from Jimmy's place. So we decided it's Sunday afternoon. We spent the afternoon with Jimmy for a while. We bothered him and we learned a lot of new information. But now we're getting kind of hungry. So we decided we'd take this viewer up and see if Hobnob Restaurant in Gate City, Virginia actually does have the world's best peanut butter milkshake. Y'all come and go along with us. They told us to come here because you had the world's best peanut butter milkshake. Is that right?
It is pretty popular.
All right. We're at the right place then.
Do you want a water with your shake?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
I'll take the super hamburger and onion rings.
Do you want mayonnaise, mustard, and everything on it?
Absolutely.
We'll get it for you guys.
Thank you.
Ready for that peanut butter milkshake?
I'm ready for the peanut butter milkshake. The world's best peanut butter milkshake is what a viewer told me. Come here for the world's best peanut butter milkshake. And here I am.
Okay, so we had to drop, it was driven, so we had to drop it into a bigger cup, so it's just a cup in the cup.
All right. It's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good. That might be the world's best peanut butter milkshake. That's really good. world's best?
It's really good.
Now, I mean, that peanut butter milkshake was some kind of good. I had mine before the meal, kind of an appetizer, you might say. And the little woman, she's going to wait and order hers to go. She's having a banana milkshake for dessert. Now, y'all just have to look over me. You remember, I eat like my mom and dad both. My mom ate fast, and my dad took big bites. Well, friends and neighbors, that's our show for this week. Now, don't forget the new Puddin' Creek website is up and running. So if you want to get yourself a Puddin' Creek t-shirt or some Puddin' Creek merch, just head on over to puddinCreek.com. We ship worldwide. And leave us a comment if you enjoyed the show today, and leave us a thumbs up. That helps us out with the bigwigs up at the YouTube main office. And as always, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.